Hour.
It was a fascinating hour. And we got another fascinating hour coming up right now because we're scheduled to be joined by, and she's coming in right now, the Love Doctor is coming up next.
Yes.
Penny is going to take over the left seat. She's going to be joined by Karen Britt and Tara Crete and Dr. Elena Eustache. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So we'll go into the little quick break music, and we'll be right back as the Awake Nation continues. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Eastern for the Awake Nation. Stay tuned. The show continues right now.
And we are back. The Awake Nation is live. I'd like to welcome Karen Britt, Paula Davis Reeves, and Tara Crete. Karen, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I have my internet back on, my power back on, and there's no exterminators coming
No
up.
exterminators, nobody bugging you. Would you like to tell a little bit of that story or no?
No, we won't talk about
Okay.
it.
I forgot to mention that to David. I'll have to tell him that off air. I took Karen with me basically on my phone to the dollar store, and we chatted at length yesterday about some of the things that were going on. Pamela, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Thank you.
I can hear you.
I know, I can hear you too. So exciting.
And how is our favorite girl, Christy?
She's doing good.
Actually, we just got off of an individual. He goes by Astro, and I asked him where he was. He's in Miami.
He's in Doral. I heard him.
Right?
He said it was raining in Doral. It's not raining here.
Well, I mean, is
Beautiful sunny
everyone
day.
in Doral? What's going on with Doral?
Trump land.
Mm.
Trump, that's
Lots
Trump's
of stuff,
territory.
right?
Mhm.
Tara, what's going on in Doral?
Well, that's Trump territory. They just had the big rally, the Reawaken America
Reawakening.
tour with Clay Clark last weekend, where Trump actually called in. I was going to go because I have a media pass. I didn't make it, but I was afraid I was going to miss him. I don't think I'm ever going to see Trump in person, like up close and personal. I've seen him in a rally, but he did call in. He called General Flynn when he was on stage.
Yes, he did.
So yeah, I don't know. I think that's southeast Florida is a hot place. I'm in southwest Florida. I'm on the other side.
Okay. So, how's things with you and your family? Everything
Happy.
okay?
Everything's good. Everything's happy. You know, life is a series of peaks and valleys, and I just came out of a valley, and you can always rest assured that when you have one, a peak is on its way. So
Is that
looking
what
forward
Sacred
to that.
Valley is about?
Well, that's part of it. It's twofold. Sacred Valley was an area in Peru where I lived, the Sacred Valley, Urubamba, Cusco, and I lived in both places. And I did a lot of transforming there, if anyone's ever listened to any of my shows. And also Sacred Valleys, we all have a sacred valley within us. And valleys are part of life. And once you learn how to navigate them, it makes life so much easier. They should teach this stuff in kindergarten, really. You know, that when there's a bad time going on and you're in a valley, that's where we learn the most. That's where we gain the richest experiences of life. So now I've learned how to be grateful for them. Look forward to the gifts they bring instead of curling up in a ball and going into a deep depression.
Yes, that's much, much preferable. And speaking of that, we're going to bring in Dr. Elena Ustash. She is not just known, she's known as a love doctor. Even Anne Heche gave her a shout out, but she is a very prolific individual. She's speaks many languages. She's in Beverly Hills, so she'll be giving out her address. She's also involved in many therapeutic remedies. Let me just bring in this. She is called the Love Doctor. She's a founder of the Ustash Institute. She's raising awareness about the positive effects of neurofeedback therapy and the many neurological orders it treats. Let's welcome Dr. Elena Ustash.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much
How
for
are
having me,
you?
ladies. I'm great. It's such a pleasure and honor to be here with you, lovely ladies.
Thank you. So we kind of like have a panel of positive women here today to query you. How are things going on at the salon?
Everything is great. Everything is fantastic. We are helping people every day with amazing stuff, and it just makes life better when you can help one person at a time.
What do you actually call it? It's an institute, not a salon.
Yeah, it's an institute. So it's like wellness, beauty, aesthetic clinic, but we focus on a lot of happiness because you could be beautiful, but if you're not happy, it doesn't mean anything. So
Yes.
oftentimes I have women walk through the door and they look pretty and they want to look more pretty, but I see the sadness, I see the broken heart. I'm like, honey, why don't we work on your happiness first? Because the beauty won't make you feel more beautiful if you're not happy inside.
Wow.
You also do marital counseling and do you do psychotherapy?
No, I do cognitive behavior therapy. I studied psychology, but I also use lots of coaching because the traditional therapy often keeps you in the same problem, talking about the same
Thank
issue
you.
over and over. And I like coaching. So I study for over 30 years with Tony Robbins and many, many other huge coaches and Dr. Pat Allen. And I just love coaching because you focus on the problem once and then you look for the solution.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I like your premise when you had said before, because as you know, I'm opposed to psychological interventions in that in the capacity in which they're mind controlling you, and then you're addicted to your psychologist or
Yeah.
your
I
psychotherapist, and they
see
never
that.
fix the problem.
I have clients that come to me and they've been 10 years with therapists, and in 2-3 months I give them life back, and they're like, I didn't know it was that easy. I'm like, yeah, because you're playing the horror story and we just need to change the story and focus what we need to let go and what you want to become. And it's not that difficult, but it's unhealthy to keep being over and over and over in something in the past that no longer exists. Yeah.
Girls, do you have any questions for her?
So many.
Not yet.
Go ahead.
Not yet. Karen, they want to know more about you. So, can you tell us a little about the neurofeedback and what it involves?
Yeah, so the reason why I discovered neurofeedback is I was in a car accident and I had a head injury, concussion in my 20s, and I was going blind. I couldn't see sometimes for an hour or two, like nothing. And it was pretty scary. I couldn't drive a car. I couldn't even find a chair in a restaurant. It just would come on and off. And someone told me about neurofeedback, and it literally fixed my life because in 2 months I was perfect. I no longer had migraines. I felt back like myself and had perfect vision. So that's how it came to me. I never planned to do it, but I was so fascinated by the technology, what it could do, that I jumped into it because I was already doing lots of coaching and, studying cognitive behavior therapy. And I'm like, yeah, you can tell people what to do, but if their brain is broken, they won't be able to even hear you. So I incorporated the neurofeedback training with my coaching and my therapy, and it just did miracles. Because when you fix someone's brain and tell them 2-3 times how to shift their life, they bounce back like no time. But if the brain is broken and you don't sleep and you have headache or you have depression and anxiety, you won't even hear the answers that you need to hear. You can't even think for yourself. So healthy brain, happy life. And it doesn't matter where you come from. It's like you go to dentist. Why not gym your brain and clean your brain? It's the most important organ in the body. So I feel like if we had it since we were kids, like few times a year, everybody would have balanced brain. But obviously, if you don't do it for 30, 40, 50 years, you have to do a series of sessions. But it makes life so effortless. It's
Do you
amazing.
think that's why people become first of all, when you go into traditional therapy, they will put you on drugs,
Yes.
and then that will fog you even more. It's not addressing the actual trauma that needs to be released. Do you think that part of what you're discussing in regards to helping the brain is why they become addicted to their therapist? Because I think the therapist has the answers.
Well, it's like the therapist doesn't want to get rid of their client. The attorney doesn't want to get rid of the client. It's not to fix the solution, it's to mask the solution. So you have repeated customer. It's
So they
almost
make money.
yes. So why would someone want to fix their brain and look for a new client when they're going to come 20, 30 years for the pills and for the therapy? But it's not for the client, it's for the therapist. So I don't like that. I want to be able to help someone and move on. And if that person sits with me for 10 years and still talk about the same thing, I'm not doing something right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, get
Dr.
out of here.
Elena, I've been a life coach since '04, and it's so powerful. It's such a powerful tool. It cannot be stated enough, and I think it's really understated in today's world because we don't want to focus on the past. You want to focus on where the client is now and moving forward. But what I'd like to know from you is what is it? Who is a typical client that comes in to your clinic? Is there a certain kind of person, and what kind of issues do they have typically?
I feel like I have two sorts of clients. One that's almost perfect and just needs the 2 millimeter tune up because they want to be at their greatness and outstanding. Or clients that are so broken and in so much pain that they surrender and they're like, do whatever you want. But the ones that are in the middle and are comfortable and think that they know everything are the ones that don't want help. So that's usually my two type of clients. Completely broken or almost perfect, but they just want that little tweak.
You treat a lot of high profile individuals, do you not?
Yes, I have a lot of stars, celebrities, Silicon Valleys, royalties. Yes.
So are they coming in with addictions, broken hearts,
Everything,
low self-esteem, you name it?
everything. And it's about making them feel like they're the most important person in the world. They are loved and safe, and they can unguard themselves, and nobody will ever judge them. And they can be themselves, and I give them space to heal. If they want it fast, they get it fast. If they want it slow, they get it slower. You have to go with the pace of the client, but just to make them feel safe. And I have clients for 22 years, and it's like at some point almost like a friendship or family because they know they can reach out and share anything with me and feel safe and protected.
So like if they came to you earlier on and then 10 years or 15 years down the road, because they haven't seen you, but they're like, hey, I need a tune up. I had this trauma in my life. I need to come in and see you.
Yeah, but it's not just that. They come for tune up because life happens and you don't have to analyze where it comes from. It's like Do you like to go to the gym and have perfect body? Well, why not go and gym your brain and have amazing memory and multitask and use every part of your brain? The areas that you've never been good in, all of a sudden you become good, and the areas that you were good, you become excellent. So you become like a calm Einstein of yourself. So they just get addicted to the clarity and
Yes.
capability of doing anything and not get overwhelmed. And when they start to feel foggy and they slow down, they just come for tune up, because they know it feels as good as if you have massage and knots in your shoulders, and you know the massage therapist can get them out. So my clients come for decades because they know that they can get to that sharp level and be effortless and sleep deep and feel happy. And there's so much going on in this world, so many changes, that everybody needs it. Yeah.
Can you
And
explain a little bit about what is your procedure for
so
helping
you
someone?
have to do a brain map if you've never seen them, just like dentist looks at your teeth, and you can see on the screen which areas of the brain is perfect and which needs tune up. And then by sound, you train it back to balance. And then every time you train, you see the area you're training on the screen. You see the brain map of that area. So once I've already known the client for a long time, we don't have to keep doing brain map. I just plug them, do sessions, we can see where they finish. And I'm like, your brain is perfect, or you need to come a few more times. And that's it. And I have lots of attorneys that fight in courts and have to memorize all these transcripts and files, and
Right.
it's a lot of work to be 10 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in the trial and memorize all the files of the client. So they absolutely love it, and the judge always say to them, how is it possible you're so sharp? And you're like, hey, if they only knew
Right.
neurofeedback. So they love it. I have lots of attorneys. They scream and yell on the phone and talk to the judges and do all the calls while they train their brain, and they love it. Yeah.
Where are you located?
In Beverly Hills on Beverly Drive. It's 205 South Beverly Drive, Suite 214, right in the heart of Beverly Hills.
You had mentioned last time that we're on about some individuals that were musicians that were having a trying time. I'm a singer. Karen's a singer. I don't think Pamela's a singer. Tara, are you a singer?
Sometimes in the shower and in my car. Yeah, I'm really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good
I've
girl.
worked with lots of big singers from Hollywood, and I've had people that wouldn't write an album for years because sometimes your creativity goes away, and they do a little bit neuro and they write 3 albums and they go on the world tour, and they're like, oh my God, where have you been all these years? It's so easy. I just needed to tune up my brain. So yeah, it's beautiful creativity. It's like amazing.
Can you explain the actual procedure? Like,
So
if I were to come in, what would
wear a
you do?
cap, and there's 24 electrodes that measures your brain wave, and you can see on the screen the activities. And then by sound, you train the area back to balance. So the optimal brain wave balance that is perfect is +1. So when you start to get higher than 3, you're anxious. When you're higher than 7, you get to insomnia level. When you're higher than 10, it really can affect your health. Once you go 11 and 14 high, you can get seizure or stroke. I work with a lot of seizure, stroke, epilepsy, all of these things, Alzheimer, dementia, you name it. And then when you dip down and you go in minus, you go in depression. And then there's also something called coherence, how the brain communicates from one side of the brain to the other, front, back, left, right. And then we all get traumas in the brain. It's almost like these spider webs, these neural nets that are created on your
You can actually visibly see it.
yeah, and you need to clean them because the poor brainwave cannot go straight like in a line of a highway. It has to go around, and that's why you feel weird because of all the
Right.
traumas. So we clear the trauma, we retrain the brainwave back to balance, and we connect each brainwave communicating from one side of the brain to the other, and we expand the capacity of your brain. So if you use only 10% of your brain, you can start to use 30, 40, like it's like gymming it. So all of a sudden you're doing things you never thought you were capable of. The stuff you hated, you're like, oh my God, I'm doing it. It doesn't even bother me. And the stuff that you were good in, you just blow up and go for it. And all the dreams that you buried for whatever reason, or stories or insecurity or procrastination, you just go and do it. You just do it because the fear is gone. So
Karen, you
it's
work remotely?
beautiful.
There's no remote work that you do then? You have to be there in person to put this cap
In
on?
person for now. I
Mm,
hope that in next year or two, the company is working on caps that I could ship to my clients and
Mm.
work long distance, which would be wonderful because I have clients all around the world. But for now, it's in person. Yeah.
Darn, I was
Can you
getting
give your
excited,
web-
Elena. I was
Can you
gonna
give your website
have you
too so
help me.
that the girls can go on there and take a look at it?
Yes. So it's my last name, eustachinstitute.com. EUSTACHE, Eustache, like mustache, eustachinstitute.com.
We're all looking it up right now.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so it's Eustache Institute for waiting for it to load aesthetics, and it's taking a long time, and that's
I
not
take it you don't have a shortage of clients in Beverly Hills.
No.
But I'm sure a lot of your business is word of mouth. It sounds like you're
Yes.
doing such wonderful work that people are seeing the benefits of, sometimes immediately. It sounds like it can be pretty
Yes.
quick.
Yeah, I just had a big celebrity that came to me and did not sleep in last 10 years really well. And
wow.
last 2 months, nothing at all. And all I did was 5 sessions of neurofeedback on her. And she's like, I slept on the plane to London and going to Cannes the whole entire time. It's never happened to me in my life. I've never slept. And she's
wow.
telling everybody. She's calling from Cannes and she's passing all these stars to me on the phone. You need neurofeedback. You need neurofeedback. You need. It's so funny.
That's it. That's what
Yeah.
happens when you even if you find a good book, you want to share it with everyone. So when they find someone like
Yeah.
you who's doing something that really helps you, you want to tell all your friends. There's no
Yeah.
question about that.
Yeah.
That's
I
what a
was ready
testament.
to say her referral. She doesn't need one person to stay for 30 years. She's
How
got a
did-
great
how did you
referral
make
system
NH?
going on.
So, Elena, I have a question for you. Do you work with Alzheimer's patients?
Yes, a lot.
Wow.
The reason I asked that is because my dad had Alzheimer's for like 10 years, and we were always taught in the health industry that it has to do with your gut, because they say your gut is basically your brain. Do you recognize that as a
It's huge inflammation in the body, and that's what leads to Alzheimer's. So there has to be a specific diet. They all have to go on alkaline diet. You change their diet. You have to make sure that they laugh a lot because it alkalines your body. They have to do lots of oxygen, cell therapy, and then neurofeedback to balance the brain. So there is a process to it, and I agree that it starts 60-70% with inflammation in the body, and because the brain is 90% water, and when you have a lot of stress and you're inflamed, it will affect the brain really quickly.
and they're saying diabetes is Alzheimer's is like diabetes 3.
Third diabetes,
Right.
yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And so the reason I asked that is because my dad was retired. He was Army intelligence for like 30, 40 years. And he worked with 100 men worldwide in the basements of American embassies all across the world. And I think they, I'm just wondering how they pick and choose these men, because his office had 24/7 access to the President of the United States.
Wow.
And and the last probably 15 years of his life, he had Alzheimer's, and he was just put on medication and then put on the shots, and then we had to check his sugar levels right before he ate, every time before he ate. And so I know it has to do with the brain.
Yeah, but
was just wondering.
I think his job was extremely stressful, and that's where people don't realize the capacity of him being responsible for all these men's and all these private missions and everything is very stressful. And stress causes 80% of diseases in the body.
That's right.
And when you stress, it goes straight to your brain. So reducing stress and doing the healthy diet would definitely help a neuro, because stress is a big factor. How many times you don't even fall and you have pain in the body somewhere that you don't even understand, and it's all stress related. Cancer is stress related.
Yes, it is.
So oftentimes when I do the neuro, the body heals itself because you release the stress, and then the body gets more alkaline, gets more in that alkaline level. We give him a little bit oxygen and other treatments to alkaline the body, change the diet, and it starts healing, healing process. I've had Alzheimer's patients that wouldn't even know the names of their children. And me being 1 or 2 months with them, they would tell me every book they read, every movie that they saw. They would hold a conversation half an hour or 2 hours without repeating themselves. The way you can reverse them when you just train the brain and give them few things for the body to heal is unbelievable. Like I had families, I prolonged their parents' life years and years and years.
Mm-hmm. And you were talking about music. Oh, I'm sorry, Tara.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, you were talking about music. Now he knew music. He always loved music. And there's a group, even when I lived in Scotland, it's called Music and Memories. And they would bring the Alzheimer's patients together and play music, and they would know all the words.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah,
so that's interesting. Thank you.
I've seen that before. That's like the neuronet, right, Lena, what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We all have those neuronets that some of them we don't want to stick around. Some of them we'd like to have die off, but the music ones are powerful. So what I love is that looking at your website, you do a lot of, cosmetic stuff, which is really big right now. And I think in your area, you're like in the mecca for this. It's everywhere now, especially where I live too. But yeah. I liked what you said in the beginning, how, someone could come in for, say, threads or Botox or something to make themselves look more beautiful. But then you get to say, hey, I noticed, and are you very intuitive? You strike me as a very intuitive woman. Yeah. So you can see that, we can lift your cheeks a little bit. However, how would you feel if we can make you glow from the inside or something like that? So you get to touch people that maybe weren't necessarily looking for you, at least not consciously.
Yes, all the time. And it's interesting that they come for the beauty, but then they realize that beauty is from within and the confidence is from within, and you can do anything you want from the outside. If you don't feel beautiful inside and whole, it means nothing.
That's very sneaky of you, but I like it.
Yes. That's why I call my practice Healthy, Happy, Beautiful, because you have to be healthy and happy, and then you're going to feel beautiful. If it's the other way around, it doesn't really work. And sometimes you can look 20, 30 years younger than your age and you're in pain. And we help you to get rid of the pain, but it's emotional, physical, because we have a lot of treatments for injuries and body pain. So it's not serving you if you look 40, but you're 70 and you walk like a 70-year-old woman with all the joint pain and knee pain and everywhere. I'm like, darling, let's take care of your pain. Forget the aesthetic right now,
Pain takes up so much space. I was just saying this an hour ago on the acupuncture table because I'm having some back pain. And I said to my acupuncturist, boy, I wake up like a 70-year-old and I'm too young to be acting like a 70-year-old. And it really, like, having constant pain of whatever, even emotional, all pain, it's debilitating, and it takes up space and it takes up energy. And you don't know how much until it's removed or deleted or, diminished. And then you're like, wow, I'm holding a lot of space for that. Now I have energy to do something else, something better and something more fulfilling in my life.
Yeah. So we do that all the time. We have these beautiful ladies coming in, looking stunning, gorgeous, perfect body, everything. And then I help them emotionally with their self-confidence. And I'm like, darling, your posture. Let me just look what's going on with your back. And we have these Tesla machines that can track the pain and repair it. And they're like, oh my God, I didn't know I had all these pain. I'm like, yeah, you do. So it's really important to be pain-free, because life is so nice when you're emotionally pain-free and physically pain-free. And you feel healthy, and then you do a few things to look beautiful, and everything is so effortless. But the pain is the worst.
Oh, it weighs us down, and like I said, it takes up a lot of space. But I think that we're in a shift right now with a lot of things, and we're moving away from as much aesthetically pleasing looks. Like I think, and I can't. Is anyone else excited about this? I'm like, when can the Marilyn Monroe beer and wine belly come back into vogue?
Yes.
And when can we start realizing that happiness does come from within? What's that, Penny? What'd you say, Penny?
I said, I'm bringing it in vogue.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just a good time.
We need to bring in the femininity. Mm-hmm. That is what's attractive. Marilyn Monroe, it is so popular to this day, not because she was feminine in her private life. Unfortunately, she needed a lot of help. But on the screen, she was the most feminine actress in the world. And that's why she's so magical, and everybody wants to watch her. She has such a feminine energy.
Elena, she studied under Strasberg, which was when I studied in NYU, I studied under Stella Adler, and Strasberg was Stella, Strasberg, and Circle and Square Theater were the places that you could go. So she said when she was in New York that these were some of her little secrets that no one even knew who she was. She'd walk across the street, no one knew. She said, "All right, watch this. I'm now going to be Marilyn Monroe." She would have a high heel which was a little bit shorter. The heel is a little bit shorter than the other one, so it gave her the walk. And then she said when she would wear a sweater, she would order it like a size smaller that would, enhance her. And so she had little physical traits which would change her. And she could walk through a crowd and no one knew who she was. She says, "Now watch this. I'm to be Marilyn Monroe." And then a whole crowd of people would come around her just from a small little you know, physical affectation.
Hmm. Yeah. I wish that someone helped her in her private life.
Me too, because they actually just abused her and used her, and the studios did as well. I did. I actually wrote to one of her sisters because I found out in my family that there are Monroes, and
Hmm.
also my grandmother was a baker, and so Marilyn Monroe's mother was a baker, and the Monroe was a name in her family. That's where she got the name. Uh, I don't know that Aleister Crowley, or was it Aleister Crowley, or was the other guy Anton LaVey? I think it was Anton LaVey. One of them took the claim for actually discovering her and naming her in a gentleman's club in L.A. But she was horribly, horribly used by the system, as are many women in Hollywood. I write a blog. I go by Agent X11 Hollywood Dark Journalist, and I write about the underbelly and the belly, the bad part, the dark part of Hollywood, which men and women can get sucked into. Just
Oh,
a
yeah.
very uh, bad part about it, where you're going to be used and sex trafficked, and it can, in fact, being in Hollywood and being in the industry can suck your self esteem down the toilet, because there are many evil people in there that will try to use you, and it's a very difficult business to be in the entertainment industry. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, how do you ameliorate it when someone comes in and they have this, these terrible stories?
I see it all the time, and unfortunately, men get even more abused than women. They just don't talk about it,
Yeah.
especially when they're young boy actors.
Yes.
They've been through stuff that nobody can imagine, and I've seen many of those. But they are so ashamed to bring it publicly that they hold it in.
Hmm.
And I guess there was a big movement with Harvey Weinstein and everything where the women
Yes.
come out, but
Yes.
there's not too many men that do. And you have to understand that 60-70% of Hollywood are gay men. There's a lot of
Yes.
gay men. So if you're
Hidden.
very good
Still.
looking, if you're a very good looking young man, there is a lot of sexual abuse that's happening. A lot.
67% of men in Hollywood are gay. I did not know that.
Yes,
Yes.
for the producers and everything, yeah, a lot
Wow.
of them, the powerful ones are. Yeah. So if you want to be an actor, actually, men get sexually way more abused than women.
Wow.
I had a question for you earlier. How did Anne Heche know you?
I interview lots of stars always regarding love and relationships,
She
and
loved you.
yeah. So yeah, a lot of people knew me, and because I was the love doctor and I never asked silly questions, I would just talk about happy stuff and
It's
love.
it's
Everybody was
important.
always everybody was always open to talk to me. Didn't matter what level or where, because I would never harass them.
Oh, we lost her. We lost you for a second.
Yeah. So everything with me was always about love. So a lot of stars and celebrities are comfortable talking to me because I never harass them or want anything from them. It's all about love and happiness and joy and sharing.
It's such a beautiful message, and in today's society, where in the Awake Nation, we have to report on some very horrible, egregious things, and it can get dark. And so we need people like you, Dr. Elena Ustash, to present love and to present alternatives to people, to this society that we're living in, which is, the diatribe is evil against good, and then just so much hate being perpetrated on society, that we need people like you to get out there and spread this message of love and hope.
Yes. Yes. And I think it's something that I inherit from my grandma and my mom because there's so much love, even my dad, that it's always been pleasure for me. If I can make someone's day better, if I can encourage them, if I can save someone's life, if I can help a teenager not to commit suicide, to love themselves again, to build the confidence again, to heal, that's what my life is about. That's my mission.
Yes,
That's what makes me smile.
me too. And that's been so what I think the people that kind of live in the light, that is their mission. Because I can remember being, and you're also in the industry, you are an actress. Um, are you also a filmographer or a writer and
Yeah,
producer?
I'm a writer, so I wrote 2 books. I'm writing another 2, The Cure for Your Broken Heart and How to Be Feminine. I have a masterclass coming on Tony Robbins' platform, Mastermind, in September for women, How to Be Feminine. And I wrote a TV series, romantic comedy TV series, The Ringmasters, and the feature film How to Be Feminine that we are working on getting in production, a romantic comedy. So I love writing. I've done stand-up comedy for 15 years, but I'm very clean. I'm more like Jerry Seinfeld, clean and clever and all about love and relationships. Make it more like anybody can relate to it. And I've done acting, and I studied directing and a little bit done production too. And I host my own thing, Dr. Lena Eustache. I put it a little bit on a pause for a year, but now we bringing a whole new series of many relationship videos. We're launching the masterclass, and I'm going to be doing lots of public speaking again. So
Yes, we want you to promote all those things, every single time that you come on here, because they're very important. Where can people find your books, and tell them the titles again?
So I am on Amazon, Kindle, Barnes& and Noble, Target, Walmart. How to Be Feminine. So you just type How to Be Feminine on Amazon or on Google. Dr. Lena Eustache, it will pop up. You can get it in Kindle or paper book. Audio book is coming up, and The Cure for Your Broken Heart. And I build an online dating app that's called Love the App.
I was going to ask you that. Where is that app?
It's coming up in September. It's already finished. It's only for committed relationship or marriage. It's not for hookup or casual dating.
Count me in.
Yes.
Me too.
So, and you can match by politic, by religion, by income, by education. So you can really find your soulmate. So love the app. It will be out in September. So we can all find true love.
They have a lot of different apps. One of them, I was watching the Reawaken America tour. I think maybe, Pamela, you might have seen this there. It was a dating app, and they called it Pure Bloods for people that I'd never heard that term before until I was talking to someone else about another dating app, which I went on kind of mostly, Elena, for research. Okay, seriously. Yeah. But it's called Pure Bloods, and it's about people who are looking for other people who haven't been vaccinated.
Yes.
I saw their booth.
Yeah.
Did you? Because it was in that it was in that thing that you sent me for the person that you said would make a really good
Dylan Monroe. Yes.
Yeah. So and another Monroe. That was the thing I was going to say. I have Monroes in my family.
Yeah.
So I mean, is that his real name?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe we're related in some capacity.
Well, his channel is New Templars, but his name is Dylan Monroe. He's a cool guy.
Yes, very. So I was watching that video, and I saw the dating app for True Bloods, meaning, we have dating apps for conservatives now. We have dating apps for, I'm sure,
farmers.
Farmers?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Jewish people,
Well,
Christians.
It is important. I think
Farmers
it's
have a
important.
dating app?
Yeah.
Farmers, yes, they do.
Well, you have to watch out for it, because I knew somebody that checked it out. And I said, well, what kind of farm do they got? She said they got a trailer on 3 acres. I go, that's not a
Yeah,
farm.
what kind of farm do they have? They have a
Oh,
funny farm. That's what they have.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Maybe some women may not mind that, Karen, but yeah, if you're looking for something a little more, like 6 or more acres, maybe that's not
You
the
also
site
have
for
to
you.
be careful, because there are people that do sign up on these apps, and I don't know about the verification process, but I'm like, this one person came on, he says he's a general, right? I'm like, dude, no. I saw that picture like 3 years ago on Facebook, and I blocked you on Facebook because they'll come on and they'll be fake, profiles. So something very clear cut like True Blood. And then are the True Bloods going to be infiltrated by CIA or DIA that are going to say that they are, not vaccinated, but they really are? I mean, there's so much deception, Elena,
Yeah,
regarding.
I had a client that came to me and she never met this man. She met him online and she thought she's in a relationship. He was in Canada. She was here in California. She sent him $250,000 thinking they're in a relationship. And he was always somewhere in the mountain and his signal dropped and couldn't fly because he didn't want to be vaccinated. It was during COVID. And she's like, do you think he loves me and I will get my money back? I'm like, no, honey, you
No.
got conned.
You got
And she couldn't
conned.
believe it. And then like 2 days later, like,
You're like probably
"Right."
one in a retinue of
Yeah.
people, and he's driving, flying around all over the world on your cash.
$250,000 and she's never met him and never FaceTime with him.
Yeah.
That's
If they want money from you, that's not love.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with love.
So many women, so many people, though. We know, we've all seen the shows, we've all heard the podcasts and the stories. So many women, so many good, trusting women get conned by
Yes.
these men. It's sad.
And
It's
vice
almost
versa.
like a
The
phenomenon.
honeypot thing works on both levels.
Yeah.
I've seen
Oh,
men get
there's
honeypotted.
women, they're gold diggers. They're very good too,
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if, Elena, if you think, it feels like now, maybe because I'm like in this group now, but I'm in my 50s and I've been single for like way longer than I would care to be. So I think, then I wonder, well, maybe there's a part of me that likes being single. Is this why I haven't, found anyone? But I do feel like, and I have a lot of really nice single friends in my life that same, it's been years. And it feels like there's more single people now than ever before. Are you noticing that in your practice at all? Or does anyone have any comments about that?
Yeah, definitely. I would say 7 men out of 10 today don't want a committed relationship. They just want to have fun. So you have to go through the numbers. It's not that there are not men that don't want to be in a relationship or married, but it's a number game. And I always tell the girls, like, tell him on a first date what you want. If he runs away, let him not waste you 6 months or 1 year out of your life. He will run away regardless. You say it 3 months later or 6 months later. Meanwhile, he used you for sex. So just
Right.
say it and see what happens. You got to be honest and just go through the numbers. And don't do long dates. Just 5 minutes, 20 minutes, tea. Do you
How about
want
a
to be
FaceTime
married?
or over a glass of wine? When I was doing internet dating, I stopped finally, but I'm like, you know what? I'll have a glass of wine on FaceTime because you can get a pretty good feel if there's like some kind of chemistry rather than
Yeah.
getting ready, driving, going out to meet someone. It's really exhausting. Has anyone else done any internet dating? It's just not.
I
It
think that-
is,
not fun.
but it's tricky because sometimes you think you have chemistry and you don't when you're
Right.
next to the person. It happens too. So I always say go 10 minutes for a tea. Hey, let's meet up for a tea. 10 minutes, casual in the gym clothes. Let's see. And then if we like each other, we'll call each other later and we schedule something else. And
Yeah.
just literally do that.
it's frightening. There's one dating app murderer that I had to, yes, Dr. Helena, there's a dating app murderer, and I told you we report on everything. And so I had to report on it, and I left that story in for like a week, and I reported on it every day because this individual was acquiring people and he was murdering them, women across the United States. You have to be vigilant. Do not invite anyone to your home.
And
If
do
you're-
not sit in their car ever until you know
No.
where they work, what they do, who are their friends, and you know something about them. You cannot sit with a stranger in the car. It's dangerous.
Yeah. And the other thing, stranger danger. And the other thing is they will drug you, because I worked in the clubs as a singer, and I felt that you had said something earlier about my mission in life. I have the same mission. My mission in life was, if I was out in a gig, was to minister to people's hearts, and if I made one person laugh or smile, then I did my job. I remember playing this one place it was in Old Town Pasadena, Noah Noah's, and I was told by my husband at the time, he was a former San Diego police officer, wow, there's a lot of power in this room. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, a lot of OGs, old gangsters, and they never bothered me. I mean, I've never had a problem in the clubs with anyone. And I remember this one guy coming up to me, and he asked me to sing "I Will Always Love You," which is one of the songs that I sang, I showcase. And he was a gangster, okay, like a hardcore criminal gangster, and said, "Would you please sing this song for me? My homie just died." And I
Aw.
sang it, and he wept. So, an emotional catharsis is sometimes the greatest thing that you can ever have, because you hear men that can't cry or that don't cry, or they're told not to cry. And this guy was a hardcore gangster, and he wept when I sang the song, because it gave him the freedom, the frequency. It gave him an opportunity to actually just there was no shame in him crying. It was a beautiful thing in which he emoted. And so I felt that is part of many of the complex things that we all do, all of us that are here right now. We endeavor to try and help people in any capacity in which our gifts are, to help them. And so I totally identify with what you said, because I think that that should be our mission. Our mission should be to help humanity in whichever way that we have those gifts. And you're so multi-talented, you do so many different things. It's just amazing.
Thank
He's
you.
not
So
done yet.
you ladies.
Can't wait to
Sorry.
see what's coming next. It sounds like you have a lot of really good things coming. Do you find any part of your practice like the most challenging? Like when you see a certain client and you're like, oh no, one of these, this is one I have to work a little harder for. Is there anything like that?
People who want to be right.
Oh,
Right.
I always tell them, you can be right or you can be open. But
Yeah.
if you want to be right, you're going to be right, and it's exactly as you wish. If you open, maybe open that your way is not working anymore because you're in some sort of pain. When you're in enough pain, come back. Because I don't like to fight someone. I'm like, honey, when you're in enough pain to surrender, come back, because you can't find anyone for change. So it's really hard to deal with people that they think they know it all, because nobody knows it all.
Nobody
We
knows
all
it
are
all.
students of life. So that's the hardest part. And sometimes you see it even in teenagers. They read something one time on
Yes.
Google and they know it all.
Right.
And it's funny. Yeah, it's like I was laughing because my son had 4 hours driving lessons, and I'm driving next to him in the car trying to be calm. And he's like, Mom, don't worry, I know what I'm doing.
And you're like, ah.
I'm like, honey, you've been fishing for 10 years. Imagine me trying to pull a shark out of the ocean, telling you, hey, don't worry, I know what I'm doing. And he's laughing. And I'm like, that's how I feel. He's like, I get it, Mom. But it was so funny. So that's the new generation. They think all that they know it all because they read it once, but
I
never.
think we were all there at one point.
Unfortunately, that exactly what you said again. I tell people, when you're researching, keep your mind open to any and all possibilities, because if you've closed your mind to a possibility, then you've just simply closed your mind. And we are also lifelong learners. So if you think that you know it all and you've learned it all, well, then why are you here?
Well, I can tell you, Penny, because I've been there. I've done so much healing. I've been healing. I think I may have been one of those people addicted to my my spiritual healer for a while. And I think whenever he would approach something in me and he wanted me to go further, I would get defiant, or I would get, angry. And I felt like it wasn't the right time, or if I wanted to be right rather than do a breakthrough. When I got close to a breakthrough, it's like perturbation. It's like really uncomfortable, because we resist change, even when it's good for us. Even when it's so good for us, we resist it because we just don't like the feeling of it. So sometimes I think if they're in that case, it could be just because it's not the right time, or they're just not brave enough or courageous enough to break through that. So they just default to, I'm just going to be right. I'm going to be the one right and you're wrong. I've done that before.
Where's the joy in why do people have to be right? I mean,
well, that's a fear. That was a fear thing. Like, I'm just giving that
Yes.
as an example. No,
Yeah.
it's not necessarily I wanted to
No,
be
I'm not
right.
saying you.
It was just easier than going through
Yes,
the other
I'm
door.
saying
I-
in general, that's a
I
bad.
feel that humility and sometimes making yourself wrong for the sake of peace in a relationship is really maturity. There's been so many times in my life where I know I didn't do anything wrong, but I made the other person right because I love them so much
Yes.
that for the sake of peace, I just kind of let it go. And 95% of the time, the person realizes it later. And because you gave them love and didn't make them wrong, they come and apologize. So being feminine, it's not always being right, but being the peacemaker. So I feel that we need more peacemakers in this world because
Yeah.
everybody is out there fighting.
Tara?
That rings true because I did a seminar 20 or so years ago and I learned this. I learned that when you're in a relationship, and if it's a masculine feminine relationship, the female tends to always want to be like the driver and the right, but now you've got two conflicting egos. You've got two egos. And when you come to a head, oftentimes if I was the ego that won, which typically I was, we both lost. And what I learned was being vulnerable and letting him be right more it was about being more feminine, exercising that feminine part of me and just allowing him to be right, which made me become more vulnerable and it to soften a little bit. And it was so much nicer. Let them win sometimes.
Yeah.
Let them win because when he wins, then we can both win.
Yes. And it doesn't mean you can't have standards or boundaries, but you can still be gentle and soft by expressing your needs and still love them, but still stand by your boundaries. And that's feminine.
If we grew up in the 80s and stuff or 70s and it was like women's lib and all this stuff, we weren't taught this, Elena.
No.
We were taught how to be powerful women. We don't need a man. And then we go into these relationships and we win all the time. And then you find out you end up losing. So that was a really powerful thing. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Exactly. You're fighting head to head. So I have to bring up the subject of, has anybody seen the Martha Stewart Sports Illustrated cover?
Yes.
No.
At 81 years old. And people are saying, I want to see the raw photos. I'm like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
Hollywood doesn't do raw photos, right?
No,
Right,
they don't.
Elena?
No, they don't. We don't do raw photos when we have of her age. So forget it at her age.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say I've probably been single longer than you, Tara.
Do you enjoy it? Do you like it this way?
I do. Actually, I do. I'm quite the independent, but I will say this: it's nice to be in a relationship that actually works.
But no relationship is perfect, and no one is perfect. You have to choose someone and make it work with them. And if they ethical, moral, and legal, and they don't do something that's unethical, legal, and moral, which is always a reason to leave a relationship. Sometimes you have to love them so much that they can start to love themselves.
Right.
Wow.
Because people are wounded. Yeah.
Yes. I think the foundation about being single is that if you haven't loved yourself, you will learn to love yourself. And it's my premise, you can't love another person until you love yourself.
That's true.
Yes.
It's more than it's a cliche for a reason. That's
But
why it's still around.
sometimes we are so afraid of pain to get hurt, and you will always get hurt, whether you're alone or whether you're with someone else. You just have to know that you're going to be able to handle it, because we all going to get hurt.
Yes.
And missing out on love hurts, because God made us to be together and to be. So just instead of being scared of the pain, it's like, I know I can handle it. If the pain comes, I will be able to handle it. And if you come from that place, then you're going to have the courage to give it a shot.
Dr. Elena Stash, will you tell us one more time how people can find you and give us your address for your facility?
So my studio is eustachinstitute.com. I am on 205 South Beverly Drive, Suite 214 in Beverly Hills. Our office phone number is 424-362-9652, 424-362-9652. And if you want to watch some of my work for relationship, it's on Instagram, Dr. Lena Eustache. It's on Instagram. You can
I love your Instagram. It's just very inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you.
Karen Britt, where can we find you?
You can find me on the East Coast Hub on Facebook, the ElasticArmyBand.com. You can find me here Thursdays and Fridays on the Awake Nation.
You did a show the other day, which I found on Facebook. What was that show? It was like yesterday that I found on Facebook. One of your regular shows. It looked enticing.
The one with Karina, The Quest for Truth?
No, it was with a man.
A man?
Yeah.
Wow.
A man.
A man? What are you talking about? A man? Yes, it was. How many shows do you do? You're an executive producer, correct?
Yeah, So I do the
Kingdom
Quest
Talks,
for
I think it was.
the Kingdom Talks.
Yes. So what was the
My-
last show you did on Kingdom Talks?
That's Gil Hodges.
Yes, that show. That looked fascinating. So how can they find you with Kingdom Talks?
Kingdom Talks Media on Facebook, YouTube, all of the channels. We got them all on everything. Rumble, everywhere.
If they
Facebook.
went to the elastic armyband.com, could they find all your stuff on there too?
Yep. Mostly band stuff, mostly music, how to book us, about each one of the band members.
But so Kingdom Talks isn't hooked to the Elastic Army Band?
No.
Okay. That's just looked fascinating. I didn't get an opportunity to look at it, but it just looked like a very fascinating video. Tara, where can people find you?
You find me mostly on Rumble, and that's where my podcast is. And I'm on Twitter, and you reverse my name, at Crete Tara or Sacred Valley Podcast. Can I ask Elena one more question, or is she out?
Elena, what was that?
Elena, I have one more question. I don't know if you're willing to answer it, but since we talked about Anne Heche, do you have any comments about what you think may have happened to her?
Well, we all know that she was part of the pedophilia movie that was going to be released about Hollywood. So no further questions. We all know when you do that in Hollywood, stuff happens to you. So I feel very sorry for her. She was an amazing person and very brave. But unfortunately, you're fighting a big country club that's,
we're not part of. Yeah.
Mhm.
Sad,
and don't want to be part of, obviously.
No, who would want to be part of that? We reported on Anne Heche. There were a lot of conspiracies going on about what had happened to her, and maybe that's something that we can talk about at another time. But she was beloved in the industry, and she went through a great deal of pain within that industry. She also dated Steve Martin. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I knew that you would. Pamela Davis Reeves, what are you up to? Where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook. I'm very active on Facebook. I also have Transform You group on Facebook. And I share before and afters of several different things, actually. I have 3 personal team members who have lost over 100 pounds on our products. And just through nutritional eating and addressing the gut issues. Okay.
Yes.
And I also do some interior design, although here in Florida, I'm not legally cannot call myself an interior designer, but I love transforming people's spaces and organizing people's spaces, because I think when your space is organized, you get your brain organized.
Yes.
And it's just more peaceful. It's just a more peaceful place to live. I'm 67 years old, do not take any medications at all. And teach healthy living since 2020, because it's so important. I have 80-year-olds on my team, and that's why I brought up not that Martha Stewart is, but I'm so proud of seniors being able to come forth and say, I'm not on any medications. I eat healthy. I live a healthy lifestyle. My brain is healthy, because I think positive, and if you're not there, go see Dr. Elena.
Exactly. And your thing is transformyougroup.isogenics.com.
Yes. My Isogenics page is transformyougroup.isogenics.com. That'll take you to my Facebook page. Yes.
And you have
my Facebook page to my Isogenics site.
And then if people want to contact you by email,
it's transformyou in 30, like 30 days, because I was transformed in 30 days in 2012. So I'm going on my 11th year.
Wow.
With Isogenics, and it's afforded me the health that I think I enjoy, and also to be able to travel the world. So
with your wonderful we beloved Christy Tasker Reeves is on our show. It's as Christy Reeves Tasker, right?
Christy Reeves Tasker, yes. And we also have a lifestyle and travel channel. It's called psthisrocks.com.
Ooh,
and I'm an author on there, and so is Christy. Some amazing pictures of Italy, our travels in Italy. When I lived in Scotland, I wrote about the different castles. I'm a little bit behind on that, and she'll probably say, "I can't believe you went on and said that," but it's a really great site. And we give, travel hints about what we like to travel with if you're traveling with a carry-on, and traveling with the dog that you carry on.
Right. Well, I want to thank all of you fine, beautiful women for coming on. And Dr. Elena, we will see you again in 2 weeks. And Karen, we see you every week. Tara, we'll see you every week. You guys are 5th hour co-hosts, and Pamela, you're going to join us again as well as a 5th hour co-host, right?
I can do that. Yes.
Yes, I can do that. All right. I want to thank you all for joining the Awake Nation for our final hour of the day. Join us again tomorrow. We are Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central, 9 to 2 Eastern time. And we are out of time. So we're out of here. Everybody give a big kiss, Awake Nation kiss, and say goodbye. And we will join you again tomorrow. Shepherd out. Oh, wait. On behalf of the Awake Nation, myself, Penny L.A. Shepherd, and David Sublik, Shepherd out.
Don't forget him.
Okay. Bye.
David.
Bye.
Goodbye
Bye-bye.
for today from the Awake Nation with co-host David Sublik and Penny L.A. Shepherd. We invite you to join us live on Rumble Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern. Join us for the Awake Nation News, 1 hour all news, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern. Followed by 4 hours of one-on-one interviews with influencers who defy the mainstream narrative. The Awake Nation, the truth with a shot of espresso. On behalf of the Awake Nation, with co-host David Sublik and Penny L.A. Shepherd, we thank you for watching the Awake Nation and ask you to join us again Monday through Saturday.